What's going on, guys? It's Kodi. In today's video I'm going to be going over 3 different Stamina Templar setups that I've tried in open world PvP. I've played all of these setups in solo and group, and I can tell you guys that these are 3 very strong setups. Some of them are going to be a little bit weaker than others, since one of the Stamina Templar setups that I'm running is medium armor. It's more of a build for next patch, hopefully, if the heavy armor meta dies down. But without further ado, this first setup is a 2-handed and bow setup. It's one of my favorite setups since I like 2H bow setups over Dual-Wield. But it really consists of a damaging set and a sustain set. We're not running any damaging Undaunted proc sets like Celine's or any defensive proc sets like Troll King or Blood Spawn. If you want to choose to do so, it pretty much just is running agility, Maelstrom weapons, a 5-piece, and an Undaunted set of your choice. But this setup is 5 heavy and 2 medium. We're not sitting at a ridiculous high health pool. We're at 23k health, so it's possible to die. It's not a broken build. It's just pretty much a viable setup that you can run that has damage and sustain. It's a solo build, in my opinion. You don't really need anyone to help you sustain. You sustain by yourself. You don't need kills to sustain. You have plenty of sustain through constitution and stamina recovery. So 5 ravaging on the body. We got chest, head, shoulder, pants, and boots. And bone powered is 3 pieces of jewelry and 2 pieces of bone powered armor. Maelstrom weapons are a part of this build, but they are not required. Ravaging has weapons and bone powered has weapons, but if you want to find an alternative to Maelstrom, just run ravaging weapons. You really only need it on the front bar, so a ravaging greatsword, maul, or battle axe would work as long as it's sharpened. You pretty much can substitute the Maelstrom by using 1 Kina, 1 Veldreth, or 1 Crag, or Celine. So instead of missing 189 weapon damage from the Maelstrom greatsword, you just run a ravaging to substitute it here, and you'll have 1 piece of armor since you're dropping a ravaging armor, and you can wear an Undaunted 1 piece. So it's not the end of the world, guys. There's ways to circumvent the Maelstrom greatsword or the Maelstrom 2H. We're running damage, health, poison 9s. I'll be pretty much running this on any stamina build in the game. These things are too strong. They're not cheese. They don't increase your skills by 60%. They just do damage. So 64 points in the stamina, guys, and these are our stats buffed up. Front bar, you can pause the video here. Back bar, pause the video here. Our ravaging is procced by melee attacks. So let's just proc this real quickly. Oh, there we go, we got it already. 3900 weapon damage is our fully buffed. So as you can see, this is pretty much what some of our skills look like buffed up. Dizzy swing, biting jabs, critical rush, executioner, rally, and dawnbreaker spinings on the front bar. And restoring focus, power of the light, shuffle, extended ritual, resolving vigor, and empowering sweep is on our back bar. Do not underestimate this skill. It's a really strong defensive ult. As you can see by the second part of the tooltip, it gives you damage reduction, and your damage reduction stacks depending on how many people you hit with this ultimate. Since there's no real AoE caps when it comes to like buffs, like I know there's like when you hit people like more than 6 people, the next group of like 6 people or however many will take less damage from the ability, but it doesn't work like this when it comes to a buff. So it says 50% damage reduction and additional 4% for each enemy hit. So if you hit like 10 people, your damage reduction is going to skyrocket and you'll be nearly invincible. It's really good. Power of the light, this is your flex spot. It's on the bow bar. Of course you can switch things around with this setup, but I've tried rearming trap and I really like that. But if you're with another person, please go power of the light. This skill is really good. Some may say it's broken. It's kind of broken, but it's really good. Rearming trap is the other alternative. Those are the only 2 skills I've really messed around. Repentance you can put there too, but I use power of light or rearming trap. I run tripods with this build as well, since those are just the best pods in my opinion for this build setup. Let's jump into the CP. We got 100 into Warlord, 33 into Mooncalf, 67 into Tumbling. We don't really put any points into Bless since this is heavy armor, so this is how it's pretty much set up on this 2H bow build. I run 100 in Mighty and 100 into Precise Strikes. I think I've talked about this in a previous video, but I put all my points here and really none into Piercing and Thaumaturge because 1, Thaumaturge is shit unless you have like multiple dots, and Jabs is not a really good dot for Thaumaturge since it's not like a high tooltip dot. It's just like, it's like 1k plus tooltip and when you take a percentage of that small amount of number on the biting jabs tooltip, it really barely goes up. With my Dual-Wield build, I put a couple points in Thaumaturge since I'm not just running this dot and Dawnbreaker, but I'd rather have all my damage do a good chunk of damage and my heals to be impacted by this CP tree as well. This is just an all-around great CP tree. It buffs your critical heals and it buffs your critical damage, so that's why I put 100 points in there. 75 in resistant for the resilient passive, 60 in a hardy into an elemental defender for unchained, and 5 in a quick recovery. So that is the 2H bow setup. I truly hope you guys enjoy this. It's pretty much non-cheesy for the most part. And let's jump into the Dual-Wield setup. Here we have the Dual-Wield setup. This is pretty much going to consist of 2 of the same sets in the 2H build, but we're going to be able to run an Adonit setup. Here we have Selines. It's only a 15k tooltip, you know. It's not broken. It's completely fine to run in open world. Like, please don't use this in duels. It's just really a carrier. But you know, this is pretty much a meta build, guys. We have a damaging proc set, we have a damaging set, and we have a sustain set. We're running a sustain set because this is for an open world solo build, and it can also be played in a group, but this is a good build. You can rely off yourself for sustaining and doing damage. So yeah, Selines, this is the setup we're gonna run. You need 2 heavy Selines, guys, to run this build. Keep in mind, 2 heavy. That's the way it works. You need to be able to get yourself ravaging one-handed sharpened swords. I have a sword and an axe. It doesn't need to be a sword. It can be a mace, an axe, a dagger, or a sword. The best setup, in my opinion, is a sword and an axe. The axe bleed is really good, and it procs a lot since we do light attacks or heavy attacks between all of our skills, and we have rending slashes to also proc it. So these are the 2 best weapons, in my opinion, to run with this setup. We have Bone Pirate Jewelry, and we have Bone Pirate Bracers and Belt. So that's our 5-piece jewelry and belt and bracers. Ravaging is going to be our chest, our boots, and our legs, with the 2 pieces on our front armor. 2 pieces on our front bar, sword and axe. We have a Maelstrom Battle Axe defending, but if you can get yourself a Ravaging defending 2H, that's fine as well. We're just running this because it's going to give us weapon damage on our back bar, and our back bar really doesn't matter. Or you can just run a non-set trade 2H defending. And we got 2 Selines heavy. So we have heavy chest, boots, legs, shoulder, and head. So that's the reason why you have to get heavy Selines or heavy and Adonit set of your choice. Like, you can use Veladreth, you can use Troll King, you can use 1 Keen and 1 Veladreth. If you don't want to go with a proc set, you can definitely do that. I tried Keen and Veladreth, which is the second, which is pretty much like a non-cheese setup, since you're not using any damaging proc sets. Like, if Selines ever gets nerfed, definitely go that route. Slime Crawl is more damage than Veladreth and Kina by around 3 to 4%, but Keen and Veladreth is going to give you those heals, since the weapon damage can be contributed to heals, while Slime Crawl is just a straight damage buff, like Minor Berserk. It just gives you more damage. It's not that much more damage. Like I said, it's only 3 to 4%, but if you want straight damage, go to Slime Crawl. If you want a little bit of both damage and heals, go Keen and Veladreth. And if you don't like Selines, go Veladreth, or please don't go Troll King since you're in heavy. You can do it, but if you're going to run any Adonit set with this setup, guys, it needs to be in heavy. That's the only way you're going to be able to achieve 5 heavy and 2 medium with this setup. The next setup, though, is pretty much the same exact setup, but a medium armor, and I'll be going over that in the next couple minutes. So yeah, we are still running the Thief Stone, and we're still running the Dubious Cameron Throne to get our stamina and regen from the Bone Pirate 5-piece. Here are the stats. We're gonna have a little bit higher weapon damage. We're at 3k unbuffed and buffed up. With weapon damage glyphs, we're at 4326. Keep in mind we're in heavy armor, so the only thing that's not being buffed up is our Wrath passive. So on top of that buffed weapon damage that you just saw, we're missing around 200 of that through Wrath. So the weapon damage fully buffed is like 4,500. Yeah, so that's our buffed weapon damage with everything. Our weapon damage and glyph are ravaging. With just ravaging, it's 3867. So it's actually a little bit less than the 2H setup. But since we have a weapon damage glyph, and since we have Constitution, we're missing that too much of it of weapon damage. Our skills, we have Rending Slashes. This is the one that snares. I don't think you guys need Blood Craze. It's not a like consistent hot. I mean, it's every 2 seconds, and it's not that big of a heal. I like the running slash better for the snare. It really helps your jabs hit and most of your skills hit a lot easier. But you can go with others. You can go with other morph. This is the morph that I'm going with though. All right, biting jabs, binding javelin for your CC. This is your flex spot. I choose to use rearming trap. It's really good if you're retreating and you put it down. You can really turn on someone and just go at it. Resolving vigor and dawnbreaker are smiting. We don't have a gap closer or an execute with the dual setup, so you're making that sacrifice to play it. You'll have extra dots though with the setup, and your jabs will hit harder, that's for sure. You'll get buffs and cons through the way of switching between both setups, but the dual has its buffs and 2H has its buffs. Backbar running restoring focus, power of the light, shuffle, extended ritual, rally, and empowering sweep. So it's pretty much the same backbar, it's just the heals are swapped. With this setup though, since you don't have a bow, I recommend you use the essence of immovabilities. These are cheese, since you get immunity to all knockbacks and disabling effects. It's really good. You can choose to strictly just run speed pots, but open world, I don't really care. Go at it, just run these pots to the best. They're gonna give you speed, stamina, and immovable. It's really good. I take them off for duels though. If you want to speed and duels, just run the speed pots. CP. We have 100 in a Warlord, 33 in a Mooncalf, 67 in a Tumbling. We still don't put any points in Bless since it's heavy, but this is pretty much the setup that I've been messing with when it comes to Dual-Wield. I put 100 in a Mighty, 27 into Thaumaturge, 60 in a Precise Strikes, and 13 in a Piercing, 75 in a Resistant, 60 into Hardy and Elemental Defender, and 5 in a Quick Recovery. So that's the CP for this build. The last setup that I'm going to be going over is literally the same exact setup. It's pretty much wearing one Ravaging necklace or ring. I just have a necklace. Keep in mind, you are going to lose 1k stamina when you're converting over to medium armor, but it's not bad to have a couple points in the health when you're medium armor. You do not want to have a low health pool in medium. One, you're already squishy, and two, you lose health since you're dropping the heavy armor. So it's not a bad swap to the build, like if you want to go medium. Make sure when you're swapping to medium though, you change your Undaunted sets to both medium. The only downside of the setup is everything has to be perfect. The reason you have to wear medium and Undaunted sets is because if you don't, you're going to be sitting around like 4 heavy, 3 medium. It's just going to be a weird setup. You want to get a 5-piece of medium or 5-piece of heavy when you run builds. For the 5-piece is the 5-piece bonus of the armor setups. Like, we want to get that 12% more weapon damage, guys. So that's the reason why you want to wear 2 medium. Anyways, Bone Pirate. You're going to have to wear more Bone Pirate armor, of course. So we're going to put that on. And Bone Pirate, we'll have the 5-piece, and we'll have the 5-piece Ravaging. It looks like we put on 1 extra piece. So we'll put on the Ravaging Greaves. Okay, so this is how you achieve the medium setup. Belt, bracers, boots, and Selene arm cops and Selene mask, or any Undaunted choice of any Undaunted set of your choice, but it has to be medium if you want to get the 5 medium. So we'll be running 2 heavy and 5 medium with this setup. 1 Ravaging necklace, 1 Ravaging chest, legs, and our weapons. That's how we're going to be achieving the 5-piece. And the Bone Pirate is 2 pieces of jewelry and 3 pieces of armor. So with this setup, we lose 1k max stam, but we gain 12 weapon damage unbuffed. So the buffed heavy armor setup is 3300 with Wrath. So we'll have more weapon damage without having to be hit. Buff though will gain 100 more weapon damage than the heavy armor setup with this build. So it's pretty much the same exact damage, guys. The heavy armor setup with this build is literally the same exact damage as the medium armor setup, which is kind of sad. So the only thing you're really getting by switching to medium armor is playing a more difficult playstyle. You'll get a little bit more crit. As you can see, our fully buffed crit is 53.5, which is really high. It's losing around 3k resistances, but sustain may be easier since you're gonna be able to roll dodge more and you're gonna have more stamina recovery. But it's hard to say because Constitution is really strong. But the only thing you'll be getting is you'll be quicker, your skills will cost less, you'll be more squishier, but the damage is the same. So it's kind of sad, but if you choose to play medium armor, this is how you run the same exact setup. 23k health in Cyrodiil and 38k max stam. And fully buff weapon damage, I'll show you real quick, guys. Our weapon damage is proc. And that's our fully buff weapon damage, 4720. With just ravaging, it's 4219. So here are the stats, guys. Those are the 3 setups that I've been playing. They all work really well. I hope you guys enjoy. If you have any questions or concerns, leave them down in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.